For the simple reasons that Orwell said, he who controls the past controls the future.
The ability to manipulate memory creates unlimited power.
Political, economical, cultural, runs the gamut from Holocaust denial to
Corporate product recognition.
there are companies who are willing to pay anything, do anything, to have people forget that their products explode on impact or suddenly catch fire. Companies like G spending billions in profit to repress these memories. The only thing I haven't been able to do is to figure out how they're doing it.
They can't. I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. I mean, the Mandela effect is
It's the
simply...
Mandela effect, guys. It's the Mandela effect. Just say it.
Is simply people misremembering stuff.
Maybe this is actually evidence of a parallel universe.
Wait, what?
So maybe these differences in collective memories are actually evidence of our universe somehow becoming intertwined with another, if not identical, then very similar universe. So people's memories are correct. They're just remembering something that happened in another dimension. Hence the discrepancies. That's science, Scully.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. The X-Files. I covered this a few weeks ago, how they were showing about the future with artificial intelligence and transhumanism. And I've been keeping an eye on the show. I don't watch it, but I see what the plot of the episode is. If it sounds like something that might be necessary to cover, I'll cover it. And that's why I'm covering this one, an episode in regards to the Mandela effect. Now, listen, I don't go into the Mandela effect because I personally do not believe in the Mandela effect. But that doesn't mean that if you're somebody who does, that I would attack you or go after you. I do think it's relatively insane. I think all one would really have to do is study the mind to understand about misremembering and how certain things placed in TV shows deliberately are there to confuse you, to make you think something might have happened when it did not happen. However, the fact that the X-Files is covering this, I thought it was important. Now, you can see this clip here, which I'll play in regards to they're making kind of a mockery of the whole Berenstain Bears thing, which was a big deal apparently amongst people who believe in this effect. And I want to talk about why they cover stuff like this and the tone and theme of the episode. So take a look.
All life-questioning revelations that came to me while I was moving. Not myself, but my mother. And when unpacking her stuff, I came across a bunch of old things of mine she kept. Remembering my mom reading Dr. Wuzzle books to me is one of the fondest memories I have. But when I looked more closely at the book's cover, well, that's when the Woozle Wuzzle blooper gloves really hit the fan. What? Because Dr. Wuzzle's name was spelled different than how I remembered, not with two S's, but with two Z's. What's happening?
It's a Mandela effect.
The what effect?
The Mandela effect, when someone has a memory that doesn't coincide with everybody else's or the facts. So named because some people have a memory of hearing that Nelson Mandela died in the 80s while in prison, when in fact he died a free man in 2013.
No. It's called the Mengele effect. Because people have a memory of Joseph Mengele getting apprehended in Ohio in 1970. So it's the Mengele effect.
The Mandela effect has been an internet meme for almost a decade. It's always been called that.
See, you're having a Mengele effect about the Mandela effect.
Okay, you see how they, that was kind of the theory with the Berenstain Bears. It was people changed it, all this stuff. I'm not into it. Okay, and again, like I said, if it's something you're into, that's fine. But remember, things like this are created to make us all seem insane. You're not going to wake somebody up by pointing stuff like that out. Even if somebody goes, whoa, yeah, you're right. You're still going to make that person seem like a lunatic, and then that's going to spread because they're going to go tell somebody else. Then it kind of puts a whole damper on the truth about, conspiracies and stuff like that, because there really is a conspiracy going on, and it's really a conspiracy truth, conspiracy fact about what our government is doing to us. And that's why they have things like the Sasquatch. And again, if you're someone who believes in Sasquatch, I'm not saying, maybe it could be true. I know people believe it's Nephilim and all this stuff. Okay, I don't dig deep into that stuff. I try to stay on the path of showing people signs and symbols, exposing satanic ritual abuse. The real core of all this stuff is that these people worship Satan. Okay, and this is the ushering in of the Antichrist. That's what all of this stuff going on is. And there's a lot of distractions out there, such as UFOs and aliens and talking about Sasquatch, talking about the Loch Ness Monster. Because personally, even if I did see the Loch Ness Monster, if I was down at the lake fishing and I saw the Loch Ness Monster, I'm not likely to go make a video unless I have like some real legitimate proof about showing it, because I know it's not going to work in helping wake people up. It's going to make me look like a nut. And it's just the way it is. It's how they've created this whole mindset, right? With all of this programming they put in here. Now, the whole tone of this Mandela Effect episode is to make us all look like crazies. The tone of most X-Files episodes is pretty serious in a sense, right? It's more of a thriller type show. They try to make it more like, stay on the edge of your seat. What's going to happen next? The government's got a conspiracy to kill us all and do all this kind of stuff to us and poison us. This episode was completely lighthearted. They were just cracking jokes. The background music was comical. These are all things they use for mind control, okay? They tie in things here, right? And this is what's important to remember, like the Holocaust, right? Holocaust deniers, mixing it in with the Mandela effect. This is how they plant seeds, right? So somebody hears the Mandela effect, they're probably going to go, wow, these people are crazy, just like Holocaust deniers, just like people who question Israel or talk about Zionism and what it's really about, talk about Rothschild-controlled Israel. Okay, this is how they manipulate the mind. They mix in truth with fiction. Then they use comical background music, making it sound like a circus act. Right? Hey, ho. And everybody kind of goes, hey, the Mandela effect. You mean the this effect? Hey, and couldn't it just be this, right? And of course they have to throw in stuff with alternate universes in science, right? And push that type of garbage. Oh, science. Oh, there's two universes happening at the same time and all that stuff. Now, as Christians, at least I believe that there is a veil. The Bible tells us this, that there is stuff, they are bringing and trying to bring over demonic forces and whatever, your belief is with CERN, which I've covered many times. We know that there is something on the other side and that they are trying to access that. That's why they do these black magic rituals. They bring these demons over and do that sort of stuff. But tying all of this together like they did in this episode is just to continue this lunacy conspiracy type of narrative that they continue to push. Talking about small things like letters changing on a Jell-O box, right? Talking about letters changing in a Bernstein Bears or whatever it's called book, right? Changing a Z to an S, because this is what a lot of people put their time and focus into. And again, if that's something you want to do, feel free. It's not something that I do. I think it's pointless. I think that it doesn't help wake anyone up, but maybe it does. Maybe it's helped you or somebody else out there wake people up, and that's fine. To each their own, right? There's no need for, there's so many channels that, and people who are in the truther movement or whatever you want to call it, who go after people if they don't talk about certain topics and certain subjects. Everybody's got things that they kind of focus in on, and that's what they should remain focusing on. If everybody covered the same subject, then there wouldn't be that much to accomplish, because there's so much stuff. The rabbit hole is endless. It is absolutely endless. You can go down and you could talk about SRA. You could talk about McMartin. You could talk about government-controlled, psychological operations and false flags like Waco. Okay, all these events that we know in history, Jonestown, which are controlled, operated events by the CIA, most which tie into MK Ultra and mind control. So there's so much stuff out there, but I wanted to just show everybody this, because this is how they work, right? People see the episode, and remember, when they lay sub-tracks down, like just kind of comical tracks, and then they mix in stuff like the Holocaust, they mix in stuff about, the government, they mix in stuff, all that type of stuff. They're doing it to kind of lump everything together. So I always say they try to put everything in the same basket. They try to take conspiracy, right, the term, which is a trigger word. Now we know, they use Illuminati as a trigger word. They use fake news as a trigger word, right? We see the mockery with Belluminati, with Taco Bell and all that stuff. They take this stuff, they try to lump in, okay, talking about chemtrails, talking about food, chemicals in our food, vaccinations, talking about all of this stuff, talking about people who are victims of child sex trafficking, and they want to lump in, it was just what they did with with Pizzagate, right? They took that narrative, and instead of focusing on, hey, maybe something's going on here with these creepy posts that this guy is making, instead of talking about that, they took it and they said, oh, they're running prostitution rings out of pizza parlors and cracking jokes about pizza and, Mario Brothers and making it seem like a huge joke. They want to lump everything into this basket with the Sasquatch, the Loch Ness, right? They want to throw the and then they'll mix in the stuff like Holocaust deniers and all that. And people will subconsciously not realize that they're being programmed while they're watching this and lumping these things together. because there really is stuff going on. We all know that because people listen to the channel, we're awake, right? And the X-Files will show you truth. They will show you what's going on as well. I mean, they've done episodes that desensitize people about the future of artificial intelligence and transhumanism. Last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was, they did, which I have an episode on somewhere on here, which was one of my first uploads. They talked about, the government conspiracy and what the plan was and martial law and all that type of stuff. They had, so they will mix that stuff in to desensitize people, but they also mix this stuff in. And you got to look for, why are they doing this? What are they trying to say? And then you find the truths that they mix in, because they want people after the episode to go, oh, this Mandela thing, these people are nuts, just like a Holocaust denier, because they don't want people questioning or looking into anything involving the Holocaust or anything involving the actual amount of people who were killed there, or Zionism or the Talmud, right? Because if they always have them as the victim and anyone questions it's a crazy person, nobody will look into the Talmud, nobody will look into the Kabbalah, nobody will look into the fact that these people are actually practicing Jewish mysticism, which is black magic. And that's the whole point why they do this stuff. So this is the X-Files, not a surprise. It was definitely a bit of a surprise, I should say, to see the tone of the episode, because I've never seen an episode of the show that had just such underlying, like, it almost was like a satire type episode where, like, they're laughing about it, they're falling on the ground, the background music's comical, the costumes are quirky, they have aliens that look like aliens. It's just really, they have a UFO at the end, which just looks so stupid. And it just shows you how they try to lump this stuff into a basket so they can take truth, they can mix it with, some of these things that people follow, like the Mandela effect, which I personally don't believe is real. And again, if you do believe it's real, that's fine. Don't be offended by that. I think it's pretty ridiculous. I think if you really study mind control and study the brain, okay, you'll understand that and remember, we're under chemical baths every day here. So if you're not remembering something correctly, remember, you're being doused with chemicals around the clock, okay? Chemicals are constantly in your body, in your mind. You're just getting bathed in aluminum for the most part from the sky here. Then you're eating Cheerios or eating something else that's covered in chemicals. So, again, I just wanted to point that out. This is the X-Files covering the Mandela effect. And I believe personally that they brought the X-Files back this time for this short run that it's on, which I think is probably over because nobody seems to be watching it from what I've read and what people have told me. But I believe they brought it back because so many people were starting to open their eyes. They needed to start desensitizing people more, making people aware, but desensitizing them. And that's why a lot of the episodes do revolve around things that are actually going on. And then also touch in on some of these other conspiracies and try to lump them together with things they don't want you looking into, like Zionism, like what's really going on in Israel. And I think that's why it's back. So I thank everybody for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.